everyone, and welcome to my channel, and thank you for taking the time to watch this video. This is a video on the Waite walkthrough that I'm doing as far as this new walkthrough series that I'm putting out. And this is just to show you some of the decks that are available on the market. So if you're planning on buying a tarot deck, even if you're brand new to tarot, or you know, even if you're a seasoned tarot reader, it's really good to see what's out there. And I thought I'd share these decks with these walkthroughs that I'm going to be doing. Then it's not so much of a teaching series as it is a series that informs you as to what's available. And you know, if you get to see the decks, then maybe you can make a more informed choice when you're actually purchasing them, which is very important, because you don't want to end up wasting your money on things that you don't really use or you're never going to use. Sometimes you can end up buying decks and it ends up being something that you really don't connect with, and then it goes to the bottom of the cupboard or behind the cupboard, and you don't actually get to use them. So I'm going to do a deck review of this tarot deck that I bought off eBay. And it's a Chinese tarot deck, but it is a Rider-Waite based deck. And it's a novelty deck, I thought. So if you got a lot of, you learnt the tarot, or you've learnt the Rider-Waite systems, you can use this deck very easily because it's got all the Rider-Waite imagery on it. But it's got everything in Chinese. And although you really should have other literature with the Rider-Waite decks before you start using this, because you're not going to be able to, unless of course you speak Chinese, which I don't. You're going to have to find another way to get the information from the cards itself. But I thought it was a very pretty deck when I bought it, and when I ordered it, and I thought, you know, it's a very cute deck. It's got this really nice sort of glistening background in it, almost like a 3D kind of thing going on, and I love kind of bling. As you can see with all my little jewelry things, I love bling, and this deck is like a bling deck for me. I thought I'd just put it in here for completeness sake, so that you can see what's out there, and you know, it's just a very I don't know, very light-hearted kind of a cute deck. It's a feel-good deck, I think. Even though it's in Chinese and I don't speak Chinese, I think it's a very pretty deck, and I don't regret buying it. Absolutely not. It comes in a nice little box itself. You know, it's quite sturdy, and it's got it's got this coloring going right through of it. This 3D kind of imagery going. Almost holographic, if you like, and it's got this nice little shine on it. So I just love the bling that comes with it. It comes with a standard book. I'm sure it's standard because, but I obviously cannot interpret it because it is not written in English. So be aware that the book that it comes, the book that comes with it is not going to be for people who cannot speak the language. And unless, of course, you do speak Chinese, then I'm sure it's a pretty good book, but I really cannot interpret it myself. So I've put it aside and, completely ignored the book. Not throwing it away, because I told you I always keep boxes and books. So I've put it aside, and I'm going to just show you the deck itself. And it's smaller than the standard Rider-Waite deck, because you can see it's slightly narrower in dimensions. And the cardstock itself is pretty good. It's got this really shiny surface with this, sort of multicolor reflective surface on the front, and the back is pretty matte. It's got like almost like a wheel of fortune on the back of the card itself, and it's pretty matte. But a really good cardstock, I have to say, extremely good cardstock. So quite good, and it was cheap as chips really from eBay, and I thought, let me just give it a go. Because it was so nice and cheap, and I think it's a really good deck. You know, it's nice to carry it around if you want to just do readings. Carry it around if you're just very mobile and you need to use a deck, especially if you know the Rider-Waite symbology. It's going to be a deck that's pretty good to read. So I'll just take you through the cards. It's got, as I said, it's got that nice little coloring on the surface. It's very reflective. It's just a really good, feel-good rainbow kind of thing. So if you're feeling a bit down and you want to do a reading, it lifts your spirits just looking at it. So it's beautifully done. It's got Chinese writing at the bottom over here. So I expect that this is going to be whatever this interpretation is, the full written probably at the bottom of the card, the deck over here. And I'm not one for cutting a deck or altering a deck by cutting it, but I expect if you are a person who likes to alter decks, then it can easily be taken off because they are so separate from the main picture that it probably can be altered. You can probably cut it out if you didn't want it in the deck, but for me it doesn't really make a difference. I don't really care if it's there. You know, for me it's like an enhancement, so I love it. I don't really mind it being over there. So you can see it's got that coloring on the top, and I don't know if it's going to come through very, very clearly on my camera, and I hope it does. It's got a black border going on around it, and you know that gives it a really, you know, it doesn't look cheap. It doesn't look like a cheap deck, but it was really, really very affordable, and something that, you know, if you want to get something that's extremely affordable right now, if you're a bit skint, this is a really good deck to kind of get, because it really does show all the imagery really beautifully. And what is really nice about this deck is that everything is very, very defined within the deck itself. The picture itself is so beautifully drawn, and the images are so very clear within this deck. And for a deck of this price, I think that's really, really important, that, you know, they didn't skimp on making sure that the images were really good. So the image, I think, is pretty good. And, you know, with this reflective surface on it, it tends to highlight. You know, sometimes you just have to look and it might highlight something, some aspect of the card that you didn't actually see. So beautifully, you know, it's a lovely deck. I really think it's a lovely deck, and it's a nice little size. It fits nicely into your hand, and it shuffles really well as well. So this is the Fool card, if you can see. All the image in it is pretty good. So I'll try to get it so that you don't have much reflection going on here, hopefully. So that's the Fool. You've got the Magician. I bought it for the reflective surface, so you know, you can see as you put it down, the colors are all standing up. It's beautiful, and I love color. I'm an artist myself, and I just love color. So when I see decks that have got color, I am really drawn to them. So this is the High Priestess and the Empress, and you've got the Emperor. And you can see, even though the card is small, all the details of the Emperor and the background are very clear. It's very, very similar to the Radiant Rider Waite in its card expressions of the faces and the image detail. Very, very, very. In fact, it probably is exactly like the Radiant Rider Waite as far as the card detail goes. So absolutely beautifully done. And you've got the Hierophant. Even though it's small, you can see the keys of the Hierophant so clearly there, and these two bald-headed men, you know, very, very, very clearly. So you've got the Lovers and the Chariot, and even though it's smaller, the facial expressions are beautiful, beautiful. And the Strength card, the Hermit, the Wheel of Fortune, Justice, the Hanged Man, Death. So even here, with the little ship in the background and the little river going into the right in the edge of the card, it beautifully, you can see all of these details so clearly. Temperance, the Devil, the Tower, the Star, the Moon, the Sun, Judgment, the World, the Ace of Swords, the Two of Swords, the Three of Swords, the Four of Swords, the Five of Swords, the Six of Swords, the Seven of Swords, the Eight of Swords, the Nine of Swords, the Ten of Swords, this is the Page of Swords, the Knight of Swords, the Queen of Swords, and the King of Swords. Then you've got the Wand suits, which is the Ace of Wands, the Two of Wands, the Three of Wands, the Four of Wands. See, even though this is a smaller card, you can see the facial expressions of these people very, very clearly. The Five of Wands, the Six of Wands, the Seven of Wands, the Eight of Wands, the Nine of Wands, the Ten of Wands, the Page of Wands, the Knight of Wands, the Queen of Wands, the King of Wands, the Ace of Pentacles, the Two of Pentacles, Three of Pentacles, Four of Pentacles, Five of Pentacles, Six of Pentacles, Seven of Pentacles, Eight of Pentacles, Nine of Pentacles, and the Ten of Pentacles. Then there's the Page of Pentacles, the Knight of Pentacles, the Queen of Pentacles, and the King of Pentacles. Then you've got the Ace of Cups, the Two of Cups, the Three of Cups, the Four of Cups, the Five of Cups, the Six of Cups, the Seven of Cups, the Eight of Cups, the Nine of Cups, the Ten of Cups, the Page of Cups, the Knight of Cups, the King of Cups, and the Queen of Cups. So I think it's a very beautiful deck. I think it's very pretty. I think it's got the same degree of card representation that the Rider-Waite, the Radiant Rider-Waite has. And I love this bling element to the surface of it, the shine element of it. Also with this black border, it makes the card look really nice, expensive kind of thing. You don't see it as being a cheap kind of deck. It's beautifully done, and all the images are very, very, very clear, which is very important. Even, especially if you're getting a cheaper deck and you're worried that, you're not going to be able to see the details of the cards very, very clearly. They seem to shuffle pretty well. They're not going to be falling all over the place. So shuffling pretty well as far as I'm concerned. It's something that I think is really, really good in a deck, that it shuffles pretty well and doesn't fly all over the place. And it's got a nice... it's good enough. It fits in your hand. It's not too big. It's not too small. It's just perfect. Sort of Goldilocks kind of ways. So, if you're getting the deck coming out, if you're using the deck, this is something that I think is really good. Especially if you're starting off and you want something that's cheap, but that is going to have all the card images on it, make you feel good by just even looking at the cards, which is pretty good. I think this is brilliantly done and beautifully done. There's no muddiness within the actual card itself. You can see it, and it's got some good coloring as well. So apart from the fact that I can't really read the Chinese writing at the bottom, but it really makes no difference to me as far as I'm concerned. That just enhances the cards, as opposed to, people will see it as something, that they don't want on their card. But for me, it just gives it a nice personality, having this writing at the bottom. But it's very good that they've actually put in the meaning, the card's name in English. And you can see them. It's beautifully done, beautifully done. It's got the same kind of Roman numerals as far as labeling the minor arcana cards with the Roman numerals on the top over there. So you're not in the dark as to what the card is. It's pretty much, quite in keeping with all the Rider-Waite decks that you have, even though it's very, very, very affordable. So I will put the links for eBay on it, because that's where I bought it from. I didn't see it actually in Amazon. So you can purchase it if you like. And for me, it's very much a novelty deck. Novelty in the fact that it is Rider-Waite with a bit of a twist. That's how I see it. And if you're bored with using the normal Rider-Waite decks, and if you're not too snooty, some people are too snooty. They don't want to use the any deck that is cheaper, and so then they just put it aside. But it's got such clear imagery on it. I think that it should be given a chance, and you should use it if you can get it, and you can get it cheaply, which you can from eBay. Then by all means, I think you should. I would recommend it. I certainly would. It's so stable as far as the deck goes, and it's easy to shuffle. If you have a little white book from another Rider-Waite deck, or even if you don't have a little white book, go on the internet. If you just look for tarot card meanings on the internet, you will find loads and loads and loads of sites where people have written what the card meanings are. And you just have to look at the card, and you just have to look at the meanings that are on the internet. It's free. And you can get the meanings, and you can familiarize yourself with the deck itself, and learn on. You can even use this as a learning deck because the images are so clear on it. So very, very, I think it's a very nice deck, a very nice novelty deck, a very nice deviation from the original Rider-Waite. It just gives it a little bit of a twist, and it makes it so much more fun to learn on a deck that is got a little bit of difference than going down the standard route, because sometimes you get a bit bored just going through the standard deck, and you just say, oh my goodness, how am I ever going to learn this deck, because it's so boring. But this deck is definitely not that category. It's definitely not a boring deck to be using. So I'll put the links for you in the description box, and please don't forget to like, share, subscribe. You can add a notification bell as well to the readings, to these videos, so that you will be notified when I release videos out. So I will continue on this deck walkthroughs. I shall be exploring a whole bunch of different decks, so that you get to see a nice little variety of decks that are out there for you to use, and hopefully getting a little bit of information along the way, becoming a bit more savvy as to what goes on in the tarot world itself. So this is the deck that I've reviewed. It's just got tarot written on it. I don't know what it says in Chinese there, but it is a really pretty deck, and I do recommend it. So buy it if you want a deck and you don't want to invest a lot of money in it, but you want really good imagery. This is a good deck to go for, and it's pretty hardy as well. Very nice deck. So don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave me a comment if this video was informative, or you enjoyed it and you want more of it, or you want me to do something different as far as showing you decks goes. But I will be showing you quite a few different decks, so as time goes, you will get to see quite a good variety of decks coming up for you. So stay tuned, and thank you so much for watching, and thank you in advance for subscribing. Take care now. Goodbye.